And so when we got to the Mad Max interview place, actually, before we got to the interview, I had reminded myself that I still didn't have the questions for Secret Ponchos. This is just to give you an idea of how hectic things were. Like I was thinking, man, I need to do interviews for this other game that me and Jason are covering in the afternoon. So like while I was waiting for the Mad Max interview guy, I was typing in my phone questions to ask to the Secret Ponchos developers. I mean, the stuff was really crazy at E3. Trust me. Anyways, then we get the interview for Mad Max. I didn't get to watch Mad Max, like the presentation or anything. I only got to really record the interview. And Genie's next interview was actually Infinity Crisis. I'm not sure if it's Infinity Crisis or Infinite Crisis, whatever, the Dota game. And it's like, Dota's not really my cup of tea right now. So Genie, thank you very much. But now I'm going to head back and meet up with Jason again. Like I skipped around teams on the last day. And here's the thing. This is one of the reasons why I cannot thank Maker Studios enough for what they've done for me. Like, I mean, look at what I was doing. I'm like, well, I don't think I'm that interested in this particular game. So I'm just going to go and follow the other team now. You know what I mean? And they were like totally cool with it. They just let me completely follow anyone who I wanted around. Like they gave me the media badge. Maker was just fucking amazing to me. That's all I can really say. It's just like if it wasn't for Maker and Sandra from Sony Portugal, like this trip would have been a complete bust. I wouldn't have got anything done. And then luckily I met up with Jason just in time to accompany him because it's like a lot of the booths at E3, they had like these upper sections which you couldn't go to unless you were accompanied by someone from the booth. So like I get the Jason just as he's going to go on one of those things and I'm just like, whoop, hello. So we go up there and there's a Bayonetta 2 interview. So I got to film that as well. And why the hell is this thing? Man, my phone's just going completely insane because of the amount of text I have in this thing. Like you guys saw how much text I have for my E3 trip log. But anyways, we do the interview for Bayonetta 2, and then after Bayonetta 2, we pretty much left Nintendo's booth because he had already done the coverage for the other channel. So we left Nintendo's booth and we had the South Hall, which was like, we had two halls, South Hall and West Hall, and then there was Concourse Hall, which was where a lot of the meeting rooms were. I mean, trust me, E3 is big. It is big and it is packed and it is chock full of people. Excuse me. Anyways, so from there we hit up Capcom and we wanted to grab some Lost Planet 3. We didn't have anything scheduled. Again, this was just a matter of Jason working his magic because it was like 1 minute when we get there, the guy's telling us, no way, hell no, we can't get you guys an interview. And like 2 or 3 minutes later, it's like, oh yeah, sure, we can get you an interview with this guy. Actually, I think I even have like his description here somewhere. He was like the general, the project director, the project manager or something of Lost Planet 3. So we got an interview with him, and we also got an interview with the voice actor, which was pretty friggin' cool. So basically, we scheduled that particular interview, but it wasn't like right away. So from there, we just kind of run up to EA's booth for Titanfall because we had a scheduled interview there. And we do the Titanfall interview, which was really interesting because it was only, at that point, I had only seen Titanfall from the Microsoft press conference. And in Microsoft press conference, those shifty little bastards, they were trying to make people get the feeling, at least this is what I get, they were trying to make people get a feel that Titanfall was going to be an Xbox One exclusive, when in fact, Titanfall is actually coming to the PC as well. You shady little bastards, Microsoft, you. I wonder if this is one of your little exclusive titles, is it? I know I'm giving Microsoft a lot of shit, and it's really not fair. Never mind what I just said. Disregard that completely. It's the fact that I'm about to hit my 3rd hour of commentary in a row. But so we do the Titanfall interview. It was amazing. At the end of the interview, because at the end of every interview we always ask to say the platforms and the release date, and the guy says we're going to be launching, I don't remember when, I mean you guys will see that interview on my channel soon enough, But he said when he was launching, and then we said we're going to be launching for Xbox One and PC, and I was like, because I was excited about Titanfall. I was like, man, such a great game. Too bad it's an Xbox One exclusive. And then it's like when the guy says NPC, it's like my eyes just sparked with life, and I was like, PC, you're coming to PC? Ooh, that's interesting. So I was like, now I'm interested. And then like the guy that we were interviewing, like before we left, the guy was like, man, what's your number on shirts and stuff? And he just got us like t-shirts for me, Jason, and Patrick and Scott, which were the two guys in our film crew. And it was just like, it was pretty cool. So from there on, we basically just ran back to Capcom where we had just been scheduling an interview. And we do the Lost Planet 3 interview, which was also really cool because, I mean, the one thing that was funny is just Jason starts interviewing the voice actor guy, right? So he interviews the voice actor, and as he's done, and we're switching people to interview, the PR guy that was there, he starts saying like, you guys got 5 minutes. You guys got 5 minutes for the interview. And like, but man, we really love Lost Planet 3. I mean, come on. We have some really cool questions here. And we did because we had been working on Lost Planet 3 questions. Like we had Lost Planet 3 down, like good to go. And it's like, we actually had some really good questions for Lost Planet 3. And so we're like, I mean, but come on, man. Both me and Jason just kind of arguing with the PR guy, like, look, dude, come on. This is for the game station. Are you crazy? Come on. You're really going to shorthand us here? Come on. What's going on with that? We're just like, we're kind of putting him in the spotlight. All of a sudden, the other guy, the guy we're interviewing, is just like, look, dude, just give them how much time they need. I mean, if we're doing this right. And I'm like, I like this guy's attitude. I like him. So we do the Lost Planet 3 interview, and I'm just a lot more excited for Lost Planet 3 now. Like, you guys know that I've told you a whole bunch of times how much I loved Lost Planet 2, and I was pissed off that Lost Planet 3 was actually going away from the co-op thing, but they have some interesting multiplayer stuff coming, so it got me kind of back on track for Lost Planet 3, so it was pretty cool. Anyways, after that particular interview, Jason and his team, they went for lunch. However, I had a scheduled appointment with Sony again, one of those things that Portugal Gaming had scheduled. And like I said, I was going to do everything to make sure that Sandra got as much of her money's worth as possible out of Portugal Gaming. So I went to a Puppeteer, which is a game that's going to be coming out for the PlayStation 3. And it was actually a pretty cool looking game. I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was a really cool looking game. So here's the thing. I mean, it's one of those games that's not for everyone because it's got that art style that seems like it's more suited, for the younger audiences, obviously. But I still think it was pretty challenging. I thought it was really cool. And the one thing that I liked is that the fact that it was challenging, it's cool that they're doing challenging games for the younger generation, because I want the younger generation to grow up and knowing that video games are supposed to be challenging, as opposed to having the younger generation grow up and just having cakewalks all over games, which is just retarded. The fact that we still have that, because we do, it still happens in the gaming industry today. We still have that happening, and I just thought it was cool. Anyways, let me just look this up. So yeah, I ended up skipping lunch, obviously, and after that, I joined Jason in his Project Spark interview. He was doing an interview with Project Spark, and the one person leading that interview was actually Dar. And a lot of people don't know who Dar is, and because I mean, Dar is not really a game station personality, I don't think. But he is like the general manager of the game station. They just call him Dar. I don't even know where Dar comes from, because I know his real name. I'm not really gonna say it on camera, but I don't even know where that name comes from. I mean, it probably comes from the D in the middle of his name, but apart from that. So Dar was the one conducting the interview, and it's like you could see that Dar really had a passion for this particular title. Like, he was really excited about it. Like, I was just watching him conduct the interview, and I'm like, man, I can tell he wants this game like really bad. So he's doing a really cool interview. And this time I was just watching. I didn't actually film any of Project Spark. For starters, I didn't have a proper angle, and I didn't want it to do the whole awkward thing because of the let's just say the interview setup was not proper for me to just go in there with my camera and start filming as well. So that was one interview that I actually did not film with my camera. Like a lot of the other interviews that I've mentioned so far, they actually allowed me to film them with my camera just in case Maker wouldn't like share their footage with me, which is perfectly understandable. Like, because they might not want duplicate content, but so far they've been really cool, and they said that they were going to share it with me, so I have no reason to believe otherwise. But it might happen, and just in case it does happen, I still have some footage of some interviews in my camera, so I'm still gonna be cool with that. But anyways, I watched that Project Spark, and here's the thing: I really liked Project Spark as well. The one thing is that I don't really have time to do the things that Project Spark is about. That one interview is not really going to be on my channel. I didn't really ask for that interview because it's like, even though it's a really interesting game, I don't think that it's something that my audience would get that into to begin with. So I didn't really get that particular interview. But one thing that really that I really enjoyed, though, I have to say, in Project Spark was the artwork. The artwork of that game is amazing, and what you can do with it, it's just a really powerful game engine. Like, I really liked it. But yeah, so from Spark we moved on to Secret Ponchos, which is that game that I was working on the questions for when Genie was doing Mad Max. Oh wow, I'm going through tea like nobody's business. But yeah, from Project Spark we went up to Secret Ponchos. The developers that were there were really eager eager and proud about their creation. So it was a really cool interview as well. And the game looks like it's really cool too. Like, it's a twin stick shooter. It's mostly on multiplayer, and it's got this system about rewards and notoriety, and just like, you'll have to wait for the interview because there's just so much stuff lodged in my head right now that I can't even wrap my head around the concept of every single game that I've seen. But I liked Secret Ponchos. Secret Ponchos was really cool. Anyways, after we did the Secret Ponchos interview, we moved to our appointment at Ubisoft, but unfortunately we weren't able to score any interviews because we were on time, but it's just like, it was late and the developers weren't really giving out any more interviews, and it's just like the whole thing kind of went the Ubisoft thing was just a shame. But Jason told me they would be able to cover it later, so it wasn't really going to be a problem for the Game Station. But it was really unfortunate because like, I didn't get to see stuff like The Division, but I got to see a Watch Dogs presentation. And I have to say, I wasn't that excited about Watch Dogs, but then I watched the guy do the gameplay and all the stuff that you can really do in Watch Dogs. And I have to be honest, got me excited. There's a lot of potential things that you can do on Watch Dogs, and I liked it. I liked what I saw. So I'm probably going to get into Watch Dogs as well. I mean, there's just so many games that I'm trying to get into right now. It's just like, I'm trying to wrap my head around all these amazing titles that are going to be hitting soon, and I'm like, how am I going to cover every single one of them on my channel? I mean, I'm obviously not going to be able to do, full playthroughs of every single one of them, so that's definitely not going to be the case. But I still want to, like, at least make, a couple of videos of all these titles, and I want to play all these titles. So yeah, I watched the presentation for Watch Dogs, and then that was pretty much it. Like, that was the end of my E3. That's how I ended my E3. I watched the presentation of Watch Dogs. Let me just have another look, my cheat sheets, because as you guys can imagine, I mean, we're coming up on the 3-hour mark, and I've been talking nonstop. Okay, so anyways, after that, pretty much like E3 was over. And apparently there was a little get together at the Maker offices. So Maker Studios offices. So we had over there most of the crews that were there, like the film crews and whatnot, and the people that were working in production. Most of them took a shuttle van that was constantly running people back and forth from Maker. I decided to kind of stick with Jason, and I finally got to speak with someone who was like basically I saw him several times in passing in the media room. He was like doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes for us, but I hadn't really had a chance to talk with him because I spent this whole time just running through the show floor trying to get as much coverage as possible. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going like completely ballistic here trying to get all this amazing coverage for you guys and trying to help out the game station as much as I possibly can as well to get stuff for the game station's audience too. So, I mean, you know, it was pretty crazy. So I didn't get to talk with this one guy. Sorry guys, I'm still going after my sheet. So we started talking, me and Lewis and Jason, and like half an hour later I realized that Lewis actually has a really natural talent for conversation. He constantly keeps finding these interesting these interesting and relevant topics for the conversations that we were having while we were heading over to Maker. And it's like I just felt sorry I didn't really get to know this one guy better. I mean, I was only really getting to know him now at the very end of E3 because I spent all the time just chasing down footage and chasing down coverage and just working basically is what I was doing. And then again, that's just how I felt about a lot of people that I've met in Los Angeles. Like I felt that even though I met a lot of people, like a really lot of people, I felt like I didn't give them their due attention to every single person I met. So I felt, I don't know, I just felt really bad about the whole thing. Like at the last day, I started feeling bad because it's like, look, I just spent all this time running back and forth here, you know, doing work and stuff, and I didn't really stop and talk to people. And I feel that sometimes that might actually cause me to come out like an arrogant douchebag because, like I said earlier, it's like I'm not really introducing myself to people. And I wonder if people think that I'm being arrogant or rude because it's a culture clash thing. Because like I'm telling you guys, in Portugal, I always wait. I mean, people will all like, let's say I go to a party somewhere with a friend of mine or whatever, and he knows everyone and I don't know anyone. I will not really talk to people unless people like approach me or something for whatever reason, or until my friend actually introduces me around. That, I don't know. Maybe that's just something that's wrong with me. I just don't know. It's just looking back to it. It's just I feel that I could have introduced myself to more people, and I should have introduced myself to more people, and I should have done a bigger effort because I mean I remember times when people were just looking at me, and to me what it seemed like at that time is like when people, like several people would look at me like with an inquisitive look, and my instant interpretation in my head was like these people were thinking like, what the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is he doing here? When in reality, I think that what that might have been is actually people kind of in an indirect way inviting me to introduce myself, and I ended up never doing it, which I don't know. I mean, I at some point, I just think I might have fucked up. I just totally think I might have fucked up. I don't know. I have no idea. At this point, it's just like, I don't even have notes to describe how I felt about that. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I was always thinking like, I thought, would it be rude for me to just like, you know, go into these people and introduce myself? Is that a rude thing? Because like in Portugal, that is kind of rude and aggressive. Like if you just go up to someone and like, hey, hi, I'm this guy. And, you know, in Portugal, that's almost like considered rude in a way. So I didn't want it to be rude. And it turns out that I think that it's just a cultural thing, and in LA things just work very, very, very differently from what I'm mistaken. If I could change one thing about my E3 trip was I would have introduced myself to a lot more people because, like I said, I'm still scared that I gave off the wrong vibe and that people thought that I was an arrogant douche because I didn't introduce myself when in the end I was just really trying hard not to be rude. So I don't know. Anyways, at that point, I'm at Maker Studios and everybody's just relaxing. There's just this really atmosphere of victory in the air. In the air, just like we did it, man. We did E3, and it's like that's the feeling, that's the vibe that's surrounding the place. And there's a party going on. Like when we got to the office, there were two people playing soccer in the middle of the office, and just like they're kicking the ball, and the ball's like bouncing off the monitors and stuff. I mean, not too violently where it would like damage the monitors, but just like bouncing off monitors occasionally. And, but everybody's cool with it. Like there's actually people at this point, there's people still working in the office, and they're not bothered with the fact that someone else is there just partying and celebrating the end of this long stretch of work that everyone was doing. And it was just, it was an amazing feeling. I don't know. I was just there and just like you could feel that atmosphere, and it was just like cool. I spoke with a lot more people during this party. I ate 3 slices of pizza, which was really bad because once again went off my diet. But it's like I was hungry. Like, look, I've been running around the floor all fucking day. I'm dead tired. It's like I need to eat. I need to eat something. It's like if pizza is all you have, then I'll have a couple of slices of pizza. So ate some pizza. I met Negative Neil, which was interesting because he knew who I was. I also met this guy Isaac, who is in charge of. I'm sorry, Isaac. I can't remember. It's just like I've been trying to work on so much stuff at the same time, and I know that he does something to do with video because he was the one who had to sign off on whether or not Maker would share the footage with me. And I came to find out that he actually watched my videos before I even joined with Maker, because he's a Dark Souls fan as well. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. That's cool. So I met the Isaac guy, the guy that I met at the Maker party, Vinny, he was there too. Jason was there. Lewis was there. The people from the crew, they were there for a little while too. Patrick and Scott. I mean, I'm just trying to throw out names because I know that I've forgotten a lot of the names, and it's just the way it is. Because I mean, there were so many people I've met, and I was getting so little rest. And again, my biggest fear, like after all this is said and done, my biggest fear is that people thought that I was an arrogant douche because I did not introduce myself, because that's rude in Portugal. And my voice is slowly going away. I'm aware of this, but I still have a couple of more things that I wanted to say. Anyway, so there was a party. There was a whole bunch of people like playing Super Smash Brothers on the Wii. And again, it's just like you notice that there's this really cohesive environment in Maker Studios. You just see it. You can feel it. You can taste it. You can taste like that people are okay. Like people at the office that were actually working, they would actually go up to the party every now and then, mingle, eat, whatever, just talk with people a little bit about the E3 stuff and whatever, and then they go back to work. And like there wouldn't be stuff that I see every now and then on companies, which is when two people are partying because they've done something amazing or whatever, and they're like celebrating in the office. Like other people that are working with, like, yeah, man, whatever the fuck, man. Some people are trying to work over here. That's stuff that I see all the time in Portugal. And it's like, it was just really weird to see that. It's like, to see that kind of working environment, you know what I mean? Like people were actually okay. It's like you guys are partying because you guys are really working hard and it's really cool and whatever. I don't know, man. It was a blast. The whole trip was a blast. Like the whole thing, like I did so much stuff that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. I learned so many things about E3. I learned so much by chasing Jason around and learning from what he did. And I learned so much about the better ways of filming because I had, a filming guy with me. I learned about audio because there was an audio guy with me. And just like, I learned so much while I was there because Maker really made me feel at home while I was there. It's just, I can't thank those guys enough. I just can't. And then as we're getting ready to leave, because obviously the next day I'm flying back to Portugal. I have God knows how many hours of friggin' terrible airplane rides, which I hate. And we're getting ready to leave. And I'm like, well, I mean, I didn't really muster up the courage because I thought I would be rude or whatever to introduce myself to like everyone. But like, I want to try and at least introduce myself to Dar, who's like the head of the game station. So I just, as we're leaving, I just walked up to him and I said, well, we haven't really been introduced. I came from Portugal. I was with Jason on the show, and he was on the show floor, and he was like, "Oh, that's right, man. So how was your how was your stay? How was your stay? I hope you really had fun while you were here. All that stuff." And I start engaging conversation with him, telling him, "Yeah, everything was awesome, man. And I got to interview Tanemura from Dark Souls 2. I got to do the interview for you guys, which I thought was really amazing." And he goes and he says, "That's right, because you're the Dark Souls guy." And I was like, he knows who I am. And when he noticed that I was shocked with the fact that he knew who I was, he just starts laughing like, "Of course I know who you are." And I was like, I was just so fucking surprised. Like I was left speechless. I just said my goodbyes. I gave him one of my cards. He gave me his card. And I was just like, I didn't know what to say because I did not I mean, let's face it. How many channels are in the game station? There's a ton of channels with the game station. I could have been anybody else, but he just straight up identified me as a Dark Souls guy. And I was like, fuck. Which basically made me realize at that point, which is why I've been kind of pressing this point, it made me realize that like everyone at Maker was most likely really accessible people. I just never really realized that because I was always expecting for the whole Portuguese cultural thing of someone introducing me to people before I actually go up and talk to them, because I was always thinking I was going to be rude. And that's when I realized that it's like, in LA, people don't wait for invitations. It's like life is too short. You just do. You do things. That's the way things work down there. And if I could change one thing about this whole trip, that would have been it. I would have just straight up introduced myself to a whole bunch of more people, because that was the one thing I fucked up, in my opinion. Anyways, I said my goodbyes to both Dar and a whole bunch of other people that I met while I was there. And we went off. I went to the hotel. I packed up. I said my goodbyes to Jason and Lewis as well, because they drove me back to the hotel. And I went to the hotel. I packed up, got everything ready to go. Next morning, I woke up at like 4:30 a.m. because I like to be ahead of schedule. My flight was going to leave at 8:30 or whatever. And since Portuguese airports are ridiculously inefficient in checking in and whatnot, trust me, Portuguese airports are fucking atrocious, okay? It's just like a pain in the ass to do anything. In LAX, everything was actually pretty efficient. Like from the time that I got in the airport to the time that I got past security was like less than half an hour. I was like, whoa, this was surprisingly fast. So anyways, I go to the airport. I start the whole cycle of picking up, boarding planes and whatnot, and just time just melds together at this point for me because it's like it's whatever, you know. I'm just taking off planes. It's like you're leaving Wonderland. You know what I mean? It's just like you were in Wonderland and now it's over. Now you're going back. You're going back to where you came from. It's not like I have a bad life over here. It's just like these days over at LA, they meant so much that I was just like, I didn't want to come back. I wanted to just instead buy a plane ticket for my wife and have her go there. I just wanted to fucking stay in LA and just keep on doing whatever I was doing in LA and go to maker offices and stuff. That's what I wanted to do. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Of course, that's not really an option. So anyways, at some point before I boarded my first plane, I started like typing down this journal. And here's the thing, there's also going to be like a written version of this. So like if you guys feel that you missed anything or whatever, for whatever reason, if you want to watch it in writing, there's also going to be a written version. Hopefully by the time the first video of this series goes up, the written version will already be up on my website, because I'm also transforming my website, the front page, from featuring my latest video to actually being a blog where I write stuff, because I want to do written content as well. I need to diversify. Like I keep telling you guys, I always feel like I need to evolve. I need to keep moving forward. I need to keep doing new things. So I'm probably going to start like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to call it even, but it's going to be a blog type thing in my website as well. Written blog. Sorry that I'm drinking so much tea, but it's just my voice is going away so fast. I just need to constantly moisten my throat. And yeah, that was pretty much the whole trip at E3. I mean, by the time I got on the plane out of Los Angeles, it was like the world was slowly fading into black and white. If there was one thing, I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. I don't know, just really special thank you to everyone at Maker, because you guys were amazing. Just a special thank you to Sandra from Sony Portugal, which was also amazing. Jason, which was really amazing, just allowing me to shadow him all over the place, allowing me to do interviews for the game station, allowing me to basically learn a lot of shit at E3. And it was just an amazing experience. And I hope this video helps people that are planning on going on E3. Definitely the number one advice I can give you, don't let anyone else plan your trip for you unless it's someone you definitely trust, because you might just get screwed over like me. Luckily, I had Maker to fall back on. Not everyone's going to have that. Anyways, thank you very much. If you actually lasted this long, I think this is actually like 3 hours long. I'm still not sure how I'm going to cut this up. Maybe 3 or 4 episodes. I don't know. But anyways, this is going to be going up at the same time as other videos are going to be going up. There's going to be a lot of just a flood of stuff coming to my channel right now. So just be ready for that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.